Hi again, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Sports Talk. Kind of a sad one, unfortunately, as we just found out just about 2 hours ago as we do this live, coming to you on Facebook Live tonight on Saturday, May the 16th. But Phyllis George passed away today. She was 70 years old. The story is that she had some kind of blood disorder she was dealing with for the past several years. So sad to hear that news. But as you heard that music, as we start our segment here tonight, that was the original theme from the NFL Today show, and Phyllis George kind of made her mark as a sportscaster, one of the first women sportscasters, particularly covering football in the studio. And she was on that show for several years, of course, went on to many other television shows. She was the CBS morning show, one of the hosts of that for a long time. And then she was also a great businesswoman, great entrepreneur as well. Married the governor of Kentucky. She was the first lady of Kentucky for several years as well. Last few years, you didn't see too much of her. She did some public speaking around, but really kind of went into more of a quiet life. But for about 5 or 6 years, she was a huge star, particularly on Sunday afternoons, as she was part of the great team with Brent Musburger, Irv Cross, of course, Jimmy the Greek, and Phyllis George, although Jimmy the Greek was not too fond of Phyllis George. He wasn't too fond of anybody. Didn't like having a woman on the set. That was a big row at the time. They eventually made it where Jimmy the Greek would do his segments separately. He did not want to be on the same set with Phyllis George, and but they eventually, I think, kind of reconciled a bit. Of course, Jimmy the Greek had kind of a sad ending, but I believe he and Phyllis George did reconcile a bit toward the end. But anyway, we want to remember Phyllis George for just a few minutes on this edition and kind of go back a little bit. Of course, she was Miss America. That's kind of where she first was well known. Back in 1970, she was crowned Miss America, and we will play a few minutes, or a few seconds of that actually, where Bert Parks crowns her, and then we'll see a few examples of her work on the NFL Today show, and then an interview that she did with Roger Staubach. Of course, she was a Texas girl, so she was always a Dallas Cowboys fan, at least since the Cowboys started in 1960. So we remember Phyllis George fondly tonight. Sad that she's gone, but we'll remember some of her work on NFL Today show as a sportscaster. Great personality, and we'll do that right now as we go back and look at Phyllis George first. As she was crowned Miss America, you'll hear Bert Parks.
Ladies and gentlemen, the judge's decision. The first runner-up is Miss South Carolina, Miss America, Miss Texas. Again, I repeat, the first runner-up was Miss South Carolina, Claudia Turner, the new Miss America for 1971. Now receiving her robes, Phyllis George, Miss Texas.
And welcome to our cozy studio here in Bloomington, Minnesota. Irv, I'll tell you, some first half, it has been all Minnesota, but one thing about George Allen's teams, they never quit, so stick around for that second half.
You know, Brent, yesterday I was saying, why are they so loose, carefree, and relaxed out there? They were unbelievable.
The Minnesota team.
The Minnesota team. Yeah, before the big game, I didn't understand that. Now we know why. They are flying higher than a kite. And we've seen a lot of Hail Marys attempted here today, but the spectacular one to Sammy White, I can't wait to see that one again.
Back at halftime in Bloomington, Minnesota, the Vikings leading the Redskins by a score of 21-3. Second game today out on the West Coast, Oakland against New England.
And it's going to be a great one, folks. Making their first playoff appearance in 13 years, the New England Patriots are the surprise of the postseason. Their success started when Chuck Fairbanks settled on Steve Grogan as his quarterback. Well, today, New England faces the uphill task of beating the Raiders in Oakland. But Grogan and his teammates already have beaten Oakland once this season, you'll remember. So you can't blame Coach Fairbanks for thinking, along with Tony Bennett, the best is yet to come.
I'm mad that Al Davis probably had that music pieces required viewing on the part of the Oakland Raiders.
If they beat Houston next Sunday, they would beat the Steelers by a single point in the tie-breaking method. Of course, that is saying that Pittsburgh will also beat San Diego. It is going to be that close in the AFC Central. Speaking of a race that was close, how about the one out in the AFC West, Denver and Oakland, and a special tribute to those Denver Broncos.
Denver has surprised everyone this year. We have a nice music piece today with one of my favorite singers singing a terrific song that we all love. John Denver might have had Craig Morton in mind when he wrote this beautiful song about Colorado experience, Rocky Mountain High. After disappointing seasons in Dallas and New York, the Denver quarterback seems kind of revitalized with the Broncos. And after 12 games this season, his team has the best record in pro football. And he also has taken a lovely new bride named Susan. Craig Morton truly seems to be experiencing a Rocky Mountain High.
From Metropolitan Stadium in Bloomington, Minnesota, here's Brent Musburger.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to tropical Bloomington, Minnesota. Herb, I don't believe it. 2 Miss Americas on the field at the same time. Phyllis, you can take the day off?
Excuse us, Fred.
You can't leave us
Oh, you little devil, you. I'll get you back. Well, everyone, this beautiful face here's Dorothy Benham, and she was born and raised in Minnesota. Dorothy, who are you rooting for today? Now, come on.
Phyllis, I'll tell you if you tell me who you're rooting for tomorrow.
I'll never tell. That's my secret. Listen, all of us at CBS are very excited about the Miss America pageant coming back to where it belongs.
There are many, many people very excited about it. Should be a great year.
And I'll see you there in Atlantic City, right on Convention Hall stage.
That's right.
Next September. Brett, back to the beast.
Beauty to the beast.
For the Dallas Cowboys, this was to be the year their infamous catchword, Doomsday, would more aptly describe the fortunes of the team rather than the manner in which they mistreated opponents. But even in a season of transition, the Cowboys are flourishing, and the prime reason is their quarterback, Roger Staubach, who is having his finest season. This week, at his home in Dallas, Roger the Dodger sat still long enough for me to aim a few questions in his direction. Roger, you're a leader. You're respected among your teammates, and you have a certain good guy kind of image. Yet, in that game against Washington, you and Pat Fisher got in a little bit of a scuffle. What happened?
What happened up there, of course, Washington is a very tough rivalry. And in fact, I don't know of any Washington player that likes me at all. There's a couple that really there's a very tough animosity between. And the thing with Fisher, that was a frustrating experience. We were winning the game, and all of a sudden we're in overtime, and I threw an interception, a key interception, and he went after me. Probably theoretically it was a legal block, but he didn't have to go after me, and of course I dove into him. And afterwards I felt bad because of the 15 yards, mainly, and not necessarily going after him because they go after me. And it's, you know, I hate to say it's a dog-eat-dog world out on the football field, and you can't be a nice guy on the football field.
Roger, you have an all-American image. You're kind of a straight guy. Do you enjoy it, or is it a burden?
I ordered a car after the Super Bowl that I won, and I ordered, instead of the sports car they were giving, a station wagon. Of course, I was tabbed a square, and that's is hung with me just because I was very smart. Yeah, I had 3 children and a wife, and they couldn't all fit in the sports car, so I ordered a station wagon. I'm a square all of a sudden. I mentioned my religious belief, and then your religious fanatic, which is, everybody's living for today and now and me and comforts and needs, and all of us are. But there's more important things in life to me than that. Because you mentioned God, or you mentioned your family, of course you're not having fun, you're a square. You interviewed Joe Namath. Everyone in the world compares me to Joe Namath, as far as, the idea of off the field. He's single, bachelor swing, and I'm married and family, and, he's having all the fun. And, I enjoy sex as much as Joe Namath. Only I do it with one girl,
There you go.
But it's still fun, it's the same thing. And everybody likes, like you're married and have a family. It's not fun. And to me, it's unbelievable. I mean, that's my life, and I enjoy it. And the kids are, it's amazing because we're in the entertainment business. It's the jet set day. I do not enjoy the notoriety and the popularity of a professional football player. I would rather live the quiet life and still play football. My family is important to me, and I guess I'm a square in that respect.
Phyllis George talking to Roger Staubach back in the mid-1970s. Bit of a racy interview for the time, as Roger talking about his life there, but very interesting. And, of course, that's kind of what she specialized in on the NFL Today show, would do those music pieces. We saw just a brief example of that, and then she would also do the feature interviews and some of the feature pieces where sometimes she'd catch a pass or go out in a route from whatever the quarterback was she was talking to. So that's kind of what the NFL Today show brought to football. Before that, there was no pregame show for the NFL, other than a brief start up to the ball game. The two announcers, the play-by-play guy and the color man, might do a setup, but it would usually go right into the ball game. But revolutionizing NFL on television was CBS first, and NBC did theirs about a year later. Never quite as good early on. The NFL Today show was huge ratings. I mean, they would get 15, sometimes 20 million people watching that, particularly around the holiday time. 12:30, the games start at 1, of course, so 12:30. They did a half-an-hour show, and that's about the right length. After that, we've seen today what all these shows are. They go on for hours and hours, and they don't give you much. They packed a lot into those about 24 minutes, less commercials back then in the mid-'70s. Of course, Brent Musburger, as you saw, the host, still doing quite well. He's on the VSiN network out in Las Vegas. Does a show out there, radio show, at the South Point Hotel and Casino, by the way. I've seen him out there in his studio right next to the sports book. But he's still doing pretty well. Irv Cross basically retired after the NFL Today show went off. I believe he went back to a Seattle area. I think that's where he's from. So we haven't seen much of him. Of course, Jimmy the Greek passed away, and now, sadly, the news today, as we talked to you on Saturday, May 16th of 2020, that Phyllis George has passed away at the age of 70. So we want to do this remembrance of her, just some brief examples of her work as a sportscaster. I guess she was a pioneer, you could say. I know Leslie Visser kind of pioneered the sideline reporter and the sports reporter in the field, but as far as in studio, I believe Phyllis George was the first, at least to do that on a national scale. So she did that on the NFL Today show. It was on there about 3 or 4 years. Jane Kennedy also did that after Phyllis George left, and then Phyllis came back, I believe, for a couple of years, late 70s, early 80s. And then, as we mentioned, she eventually married the governor of Kentucky, John Brown, and became the First Lady of Kentucky, and then went into some different business ventures, food ventures. I think it was Chicken by George for a while. She had that very successful business, and then did a lot of public speaking. So we remember Phyllis George today on the program. Hope you enjoyed that, and we will be back with you real soon for another look at whatever is going on in the world of sports with my co-host Don Henderson. And thank you for watching. We'll see you again real soon.